Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with Janelle Kelly from Fenty Beauty by Rihanna. Janelle was working in social marketing for Fenty and is joining us here from Florida today. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to chat with you. It's great to chat with you as we are on opposite corners of the continent from here in Vancouver all the way down to Florida. So,
Amazing.
Janelle, I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience, whether it was with Fenty or before that, and how you kind of got into social media marketing.
Yeah, so I sort of like fell into social media marketing, if I'm being honest. I was working at Tarte Cosmetics, and that's based in New York. And I was a customer service representative at the time, but I was working on my master's degree.
Hmm.
And I knew towards the end of my degree program, I wanted to move into something more specific to what I was studying.
Mm.
And I had already built a pretty great relationship with the social department at Tarte Cosmetics because they were using me for like shoots and stuff. And we would, start to get to talking sometimes about like, hey, like, what are your career goals? And I was like, honestly, I mean, customer service is just like something I'm doing temporarily, but I would love to move into something more social, something more where I'm helping the brand behind the scenes in that way. So I eventually was able to get like an interview with our social media manager at the time, and I fell into social media that way. It was the first time I'd worked behind the scenes on a brand like that. And so with social media, you're doing all of the content creating, you're doing all the brainstorming behind campaigns, you're talking to customers 24/7, and
Mm.
you don't really sleep because social media doesn't sleep.
It's always
So
happening.
you have to be on your toes at any moment. It can be 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden something happened, and you guys need to start working on fixing it like right then and there. Very late nights, very early mornings, and there's no such thing as a vacation. So that is like how it is. And I sort of I loved working with Tarte, but I wanted to work with a brand that was I felt more mature and more honed into my personal taste when it comes to beauty and just like the current climate on social media and just being more diverse and things like that. And
Mhm.
Fenty was the perfect place for that because their whole brand is built. I mean, obviously, like Rihanna's so cool, and she has built this brand, on bringing attention to that cool person on Instagram, the people who don't really care about makeup, who can like put a face on, but you can't really tell they're like wearing all this makeup and things like that. Like it's just the brand itself is just so cool, and
Yeah,
I was really happy to like be a part of that and like be the face behind helping like help people be seen and things like that. So
that's
Fenty's
fabulous.
great.
Yeah, that's excellent. So, we want to talk about influencer marketing here. So, maybe let's just start off by, can you tell us, like, from your perspective, at Fenty, what is influencer marketing?
So it's definitely, I would say, a form of word of mouth marketing,
Mm.
but with social media, it's word of mouth from people you've never met before,
Mm.
but you sort of have built this trust in them because you guys share the same values and morals and things like that. So with Fenty, a lot of what we do when it comes to choosing influencers to partner with and work with are influencers where it feels like there's already an organic relationship between us. Very rarely will we go out of that way and like find someone who has absolutely nothing to do with Fenty, and that's only to like test and see like if we worked with this person, like what kind of engagement do we get when we work with this person. For the
Yeah.
most part, we're going towards people who we look at them and we're like, oh yeah, that's definitely like a Fenty girl or Fenty guy,
Mm.
like we definitely want to work with them. So it's a lot of like who would we organically reach out to? Who is someone who already has like a pretty good following but a loyal fan base as well?
Right. So you mentioned like some parameters of influencer. So if you were to look at maybe even at Fenty, what makes you choose someone as an influencer over turning down someone else who may want to be an influencer with you?
So definitely like an influencer is going to be someone who has this like large following, someone who has this great target audience that they can like talk about products to, talk about products with, and they know these people are probably going to reach out like for more information on the products. They want to know, I mean, they want to know the tea on like, should I get this bronzer? Should I not get this bronzer? Like how does it compare to like this brand and that brand,
Yeah.
pricing, things like that,
Yeah.
quality of the product and things like that. And basically these people have built this sort of reputation on social media with their followers in a sense where they've gained this like trust with them. And whether or not you know them personally or impersonally, you're going to believe what they say because you guys share these same values, you guys share these same morals. So when it comes to
Right.
like Fenty choosing influencers, we're really specific on who who has already shown us some love, who have we always wanted to work with, and who do we think would be a great fit for a certain product or campaign. A lot of the times like people think that you just like go ahead and you like choose you choose like the same people over and over, but that's not the case. Like there are some influencers that are better for certain products
Right.
and other influencers that are better for certain campaigns. Like if
Mm.
someone does really great product shots and things like that, we definitely want to work with them for like a new product or an amazing like highlighter or something like that. Like there are specifics and things that you have to consider when working with influencers.
Oh, that's great. And so, are you looking for like a certain number of followers that an influencer would have to have before you would start working with them?
I would say that's definitely a factor, but me personally, I think when we're working with influencers, I think a bigger thing is the engagement. You can
Mm.
have a ton of followers, but like if your engagement is like lacking or you're just not, it's not really like if I say, okay, so like Lele Pons, for example, like when I was working at Tarte Cosmetics, we did a collab with Lele Pons, who is like a famous viner when Vine was a thing.
Hmm.
And it was very inorganic. And because of that, even though she had millions of followers, it fell through because
Mm.
no one is going to want to, like her fan base is a bunch of like middle school like boys and girls. Like they're not going out and like let me go buy this like $24 palette. Like there's no
Right.
correlation. So you
Yeah.
have to like think of these things like, yes, they can have, they can have following, they can have the fans and things like that, but who is really going to like
Mm.
convert? Who's going to get people to like actually follow and people to ask the hard-hitting questions and things and follow this brand and click the swipe up link in their Instagram stories. So there's a lot more to just like the following. It's like
Yeah.
it's just a lot.
That's great. Another I think that's really helpful perspective. So now, if we talk about brand ambassadors and influencers, is there a difference between those two roles or those two responsibilities that a brand might put on someone, or are they really the same thing?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely similarities and differences. So a brand ambassador is usually someone who it's like more of an organic. I mean, they're both organic, but with a brand ambassador, they're normally a lot smaller. And
Mm.
it's going to be someone who is also working towards building their brand and they can build it alongside you. For example, with the launch of Fenty Skin, we got the brand ambassador Sean Garrett, and he's a skincare guru. I mean, he's amazing. He has great skin, and he's always been promoting like Fenty and just like other skincare brands and everything. And it was like a really, they did a really deep, like a real deep dive into social media and like who is already working towards building their brand and who can we grow with, who can we help elevate themselves as well as
Yeah.
us as as we're growing up and becoming like a bigger brand like Fenty Beauty is.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a great example using Sean Garrett for Fenty Skin. It's not always going to be someone who already is like at the 100K level on social media. You want it to
Mm.
be someone who is who has like a genuine passion for the brand and who is also going to go out of their way to really inform their followers. With an influencer, it's
Sure.
more so like, what can we do for them as well? Like it's a two-way street when it comes to that.
Mm.
Are we reposting? There's more of like, can you post this many things and we'll post this many things? Like it's a lot more calculated, I would say. But in a sense, like I said, they are both organic.
And how would you incentivize an influencer? Is this like you're giving them cash? Are you giving them promotion? What's the deal that you've seen in the past in working with influencers?
Yeah, sometimes it will be like, we can like give you X amount of this and that. A lot of the times it's like we'll send you product.
Hmm.
We'll have people like if it's like a contest or something, we'll have people like follow us and then follow you in order to like get this and things like that.
Right.
We'll also give like promo codes and things like that. So there definitely is that aspect of it. It's also just reposting too. Like that's super important. A lot of
Right.
influencers and a lot of people coming up, they want to be reposted on brands, pages and things like that. So if you're not doing that, and then we come out of the, we come out of the gate like, oh, we want you to like do this, and it's just like, okay, but where was the love on like the 10 posts I already, had, and I tagged you
Right.
guys in, and no one
Yeah.
like liked it or commented. So that's another really big thing too. I think a lot of people don't realize, like on social media, if you're working behind that brand, you have to be engaging with the people that you're following and the influencers you're following to keep that relationship organic and
Right.
like fresh. Because if you're not, like, no one's gonna want to work with you. They're like, well, what's in it for me? Like, you guys haven't been showing me any love, so that's super
Yeah.
important.
That's great. And so when after you're finished maybe a campaign, or maybe when you're through working with an influencer, how do you know if this has been a successful campaign, or if this relationship has resulted in something beneficial for your brand?
Yeah, definitely. So like using like KPIs, I don't know if I need to just define that, but like key
No,
performance indicators,
yeah, that's great.
So like checking out shares, like the social traffic, like if there were any like press mentions, if
Mm,
we were pushing people to sign up to emails, checking with our .com teams and seeing if there's been an increase in that. Also looking at our reach and engagement. And a lot of the times what we'll do is if we are preparing to have them post a certain amount of things and then we're posting a certain amount of things, we will always we always like take like the links to all of those posts, and we will sometimes manually like add up all the engagements and the reach and the shares and things like that to
right.
see like how does this compare to our
Mm,
previous week where we didn't have this campaign running. And
right.
that's always super helpful, even for like the long run, because when you look back and you can see, oh, this influencer, when we worked with them, this did really well,
Yeah.
so let's try working with them again. Or this one fell kind of short, maybe we should change this one out and do someone else instead and see how this
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
So it's so important to always be, to always be taking note of, like the metrics on Instagram are important. They're there for a reason. They help
Yeah.
you with making those campaigns and knowing who to work with and seeing what your followers will engage with the most and what sort of falls
Mm.
short.
Yeah, that's great. That's really helpful. I like that, like really diving into the metrics and comparing
Sure.
what this week was like during the campaign versus last week when we weren't running this specific campaign. That's excellent.
Exactly.
Um, well, Janelle, this has been a super insightful and helpful discussion. Just trying to get our minds around influencers. Certainly a topic that people hear about all the time. People are called influencers. People call themselves influencers. Everybody wants to be an influencer. But you've brought some good clarity on how a brand like Fenty or others would work with someone who is considering themselves an influencer. I really appreciate your time being with us here today, and thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. Again, this is like so cool.
I've enjoyed talking with you. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.